Welcome to Whatever It Takes, a show dedicated to small businesses across Australia looking for strategic insights and actionable methods for how they can improve and scale their business. Today, we've got a very interesting topic to go through, which is all about business transformation. We're in a very dynamic economy at the moment, and if there's ever a talking topic, this is it. Transformation. How can it support your business scale, grow, and achieve the goals that you've commercially set? With that in mind, we've got a very special guest in today by the name of Eric Tjoeng. Eric is a representative of a recognized business called Business Growth and Exit Specialist, and we're graced to have him on the show. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Alvin. Thanks for the invitation. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. We can sort of get straight into it. I think it's really important our audiences get to know who you are and, more importantly, why you do what you do. So I'll pass the mic over to you. Do you want to give a bit of insights behind your experience and what keeps you ticking in your space of work?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I obtained my economic degree at Sydney University, which I think, is a good start. And I did several postgraduate qualification in IT, in business research, business coaching, and I obtained my MBA at Deakin University. I was very lucky, actually. I got recruited by Deloitte, top 4 global company in accounting and advisory. So I joined the Sydney office here. Subsequently, I moved to all the different blue chips company, including Jaguar for Australia, Avis Australia, and became a general manager of 1.4 billion company. There's Astra Automotive Group. We were the sole importer and distributor of Hyundai, Audi, and Daimler Chrysler in Australia. And I'll tell you a bit later why I shift into SME and I joined CAD Partners. At that time, they got 60 partners in Australia and New Zealand, servicing SME. So I moved from blue chip to SME. There's a story behind it. I'll share with you soon. and I was their joint CEO. I was with them for 10 years. And finally, light bulb moment, I said, look, I got to form my own company. So it's a very boutique, business advisory firm with 7 partners with very holistic, approach in terms of transforming business, because we believe that you're only as good as your weakest link.
Oh, I love that.
I actually had a lot of friends, they are SME entrepreneurs or business owners. They always get frustrated. I mentioned, Eric, you're so lucky, work for a big company, get paid a lot, and don't have to worry about anything. For us, SME, we are struggling, quite often we got cash flow problems. We don't think we make enough money from the effort we put in, 6-7 days a week. Once I talked to them for several times, I found that it's quite interesting in terms of SME business owners. They're running very hard from the operation side, get the thing going, make sure that they deliver their product and services and all that. But I noticed what they are lacking is the thinking part, putting a lot of time in the strategy, which is the business game plan. How do you get from A to B? And then having the capabilities, getting people to work with them to implement the required action to produce exceptional result. For a large company, which is my background, there's no brainer. This is what we do every day. So I thought, wow, it's good. I think I can go downstream and help them out. That's why I went to CAD Partners and then form my own company. Like, you actually can make a big difference in SME, okay? Because if they have the right, advisor, make a lot of difference. So one of the company, when we transform the business, maybe it's good preamble, open the scene here. He actually approached me to say, Eric, somebody referred me because they said you are specialist in making big difference in business outcome. I said, yeah, sure. And he said, I want you to partner with me. So cut a story short, we did work together. So in the first 12 months, we actually improved the revenue from 6 million to 11 million.
Wow, that's incredible.
But very importantly, we actually improved the bottom line by additional $1 million in that 12 months. So people say, that's nearly impossible. I say, yes, absolutely possible. Because the methodology we use is having a look at the opportunity where there is a gross margin you can compete and actually make sure that you can get a client in the area and then your operation capability is there to fulfill that. But the interesting thing is not that he is doing well in making money. One day the wife came in, beautiful, cake. I thought, wow, must be a big occasion to celebrate. All right. So I said, yeah, what's the occasion? You look so happy. There's cake here. I'm
Right.
honored to be here. And I said, is it because your husband did very well? Because we just consider the financial? He said, Eric, that is not that important for us. We've been doing for many years. We are doing okay. Obviously, we want to do better. That's why you're part of the team. But what you have given us and my husband is the time. Is that you manage to systemize the business. You coach him to do delegation. He used to work and came back home at 10 o'clock, 7 days a week. Now he came back at
Slave to
6.
his own business.
Yes. You will be surprised what he did. But anyway, so we managed to cut his time down to, Monday to Friday up to 6 o'clock. And they said, guess what? We managed to have our holiday.
That's
right?
important.
First time in the last 5 years. We took 1 week off with the whole family. They said, that is what I appreciate into making difference in our
Invaluable.
lives. That's right. It's not all about money.
I can totally empathize with that example you just shared. We, me and my family, for the first time since we opened the business, actually probably since 2017, we took our first holiday to Europe.
Wow.
And I thought, to be honest, Eric, I thought it was physically impossible to ever do that. But with the right systems, guidance from subject matter experts, we took 4.5 weeks off, which is brilliant. It's important. I connected well with my wife. I connected well with my family, and getting out of the weeds allowed me to think about some new strategies. Before we get into transformation, which I'm so pumped up to talk about, let's take a couple of steps back. Before any business out there, Eric, comes to you and says, hey, I want to transform my business, what's the basic commercial metrics that people need to consider in order to make transformation measurable?
I think quite often where advisor falls short is they focus on financial metrics, as my example, and you alerted more to it, right? In fact, we always say, for any business, if they want to get advice, they need to have the end in mind. So in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, 30 years' time, what do you want to do, right? Do you need to have your business? Are you planning succession from the family? Are you going to sell it outright? Do you think you would prefer to sell it to your management team? And then you can craft your journey, what is important to this potential, successor, so you can get satisfaction from the monetary part that you get good money, but in terms of your legacy. If you say, I want people who take it over, maintain my legacy. I don't want to rip the business apart and then, the business disappear. Then you got to think who should you sell it to. By default, if you want to exit your business, you got to systemize your business. Because if you have a business, who's going to pay you money? You disappear. The business is basically falling apart, right?
I love what you actually said to me. I think it was when we first engaged a long time ago. Is you said, if you walked away from your business, Alvin, could you still hit your sales numbers over 3 months? If the answer is no, you have not yet systemized your business. So I think that's something that the audiences really need to think about. Could you walk away and would you still
100%.
hit the commercial targets? Or is it dependent on you? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure at the beginning, many of us business owners have to be involved. It's just what it is. But at some point, to your point, there is exit or a succession plan. That should certainly be part of it. I'm going to throw a spanner in the works for you, Eric. What happens when you run a family business? Because I know you've got some accreditation around this space and a lot of experience, right? What happens when it's a family-based business?
Well, that's an interesting question. For you and your audience interest, it's actually quite amazing. Not many of us realize that more than 60% of Australian businesses are family business.
60%.
Whether they're small or big, you have your son, daughter work in the business, you have relative work in business. Have a look at Packers and all the gigantic corporation. They are family business, basically, very well structured and all that. I think, through my accreditation as a family business advisor with Adelaide University, it's actually extending my understanding and capability. I always focus on soft issues when I advise businesses, right? and understanding the relationship, among the team members, right? If you don't understand the dynamic, you will not be successful when you advise them. Because at the end, you got to bring them across, work with you. And the one you cannot bring across, you got to say, well, sorry guys, see you later, because you are not going to be part of the team. With family business, actually, there are additional layer of complexity. Can you imagine, you work with your sister-in-law, you work with your son, with your daughter, and your relative. I think the complexity in 3 dimensions. One is about the business management, right? And secondly, about business ownership. And thirdly, about succession.
I've got to ask you, what happens when you got like multiple family? I'm just curious, as I'm sure we all are. It must be very emotional. Like, how you're not just a commercial advisor, you're almost a psychiatrist, I bet, for some moments, right?
Yeah. Interestingly, something like that, you got to understand the dynamic, because at the end, you got to get them involved, right? You cannot come up with a solution, right? How they can work as a cohesive team. Because it's not so easy to say, okay, well, you're my brother, right? I don't think you're performing. See you later. I'm going to flick you. Before you know, you go home, your mom and dad say, oh, you are such a disgrace. Right? What the hell are you doing? So we got to work all day. It's an interesting thing. Obviously, there's separate topic. I can, talk
Eric,
for the whole day about it.
It's one of the most interesting niches in the show. I think it's completely underrated, just the specialization that sits in that space.
100%.
And when you pulled out that number of 60% of businesses being owned by family, wow, I just wonder how many viewers right now are probably looking at that going, it'll be good to get a second pair of eyes over how we do things. True. Profit and cash flow. You've seen it all. So just tell us, like, what does good sustainable profit look like, and what's a good cash flow model look like?
Wow. Okay. I'm not sure where to start, when to finish. Okay. So the first thing, obviously, hopefully all of us understand profit and cash flow are 2 different animals. Okay. And profit, basically, if you earn $1, it costs you labor and material 30 cents, and you got 70% gross margin to cover your costs. How much are the overhead? Assuming 60 cents, you got 10 cents profit. Now, cash flow is talking about the money in your bank, the in and out of the money into your bank.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes you can be extremely profitable, but your business model is actually terrible in terms of cash flow. That's how you get strangled and go bankrupt.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of bankruptcy is not because the business is not doing well, because they cannot pay the employee when they fall due. They say, see you later. You don't pay me this week. I basically don't want to work for you. Your supplier say, well, mate, it's 2 months. You haven't paid your account. I'm going to stop, the supply. And it's all depend on the business model. A lot of people, when they have a look at cash flow, they have a look at transaction. But the most important is the business model sustainable? For example, if your business model is for every $1 you earn, you got to subsidize 30 cents during that month, because the money come in later. The more you grow, the more you need to subsidize, isn't it?
Right.
So it could be, some B2B, business to business, some may be business to consumer. Business to consumer, if you ever look at it, okay, if you are in trade, they finish the job, they pay straight away, right? If you're contracting to a large company, do you get paid roughly on average 2 months? After?
Payment terms, that's right.
In the meantime, you got to pay your employee. Otherwise, say,
yeah.
well, see you later.
Wow.
The same with your supplier, right?
Yeah, it's a different game.
So, yeah.
Would you say, Eric, that it's important to do the basics brilliantly and understand, to this topic, understand what the cash flow looks like? It sounds to me like that's a big reason why a lot of businesses fail.
100%. Spotter, can I give you one example?
Please, please. Yeah, I would love that.
This is mind-blowing, okay? And in fact, the business owner thanked us profusely. So this business that we were engaged 18 months ago, right? They were growing from 11 million to 20 million in a year.
Wow.
Ginormous. They already signed up all the contract, tier 1 work, okay? So they engage us. Firstly, they are concerned that, their operation might not be able to fulfill that, need some help to streamline it. I said, fantastic. So what we have done is we did a strategic review. We have to look at the business model, the margin, and then the cash flow, okay? Guess what? At certain point of time, they will require additional $2 million because it's growing. And tier one company on average paying them like 35 days. Guess what? They have to pay the supply and the resources, which is people, heavy people already. And
Wow.
then so what we have done, we actually organized with our current banker and a specialist banker for invoice financing. So they actually survive with money. So they said, we engage you at the right time. Otherwise, we didn't even realize that we'll get stuck and we got no money, running out of money to pay our people. And basically we have to shut our business down.
Yeah.
That
And for
is
busy business
incredible.
owners, like we don't know what to
100%.
do, right?
100%.
The bigger you get, there's bigger debt periods. And how do you manage that?
Exactly
Right?
right.
Wow. Audiences at home, really think about that. Do you know money coming in, money coming out when, and what plan do you have in between to
100%.
keep you going? Whew, that is mind blowing stuff. Have you got like another example? You've shared one where maybe not so much cash flow, but where profit was starting to creep away, or
Oh, yeah.
maybe they weren't too observant of the profit and were too focused on the revenue.
So I got a client last financial year, basically with 3 million turnover. We made 400,000 loss, and our bank account is minus 300. Well, I said, wow, it's not so good. So I said, I want to talk to you whether you can turn it around, or otherwise I'm going to shut down the business because I got too much risk. The minus 300,000 mortgage on my house. My wife is, basically now and then when talk about business, crying to say, what the hell you're doing, right? Looks like, we got to pay back 300 grand. So I said, okay, let's have a look. I said, okay, the way to do it is to transform your business, right? From scratch. So we have a look at the industry trend. Obviously, in the industry, the demand is up. And then we have a look in terms of what he does. The demand is certainly strong. Then we have a look at the component, what he did. What he did is he focused on new housing build. New housing take 9 to 12 months. The gross margin is 10% and extremely competitive. So when there is an increase in, as you know, it's a fixed price contract. Okay.
Yeah.
So when there's increases in material and labor, or you estimated something wrong, you're totally crushed, right?
Right.
So that's why they're in that situation. Couple of their houses they build, making huge losses. And they only build few of them. So that means you are totally at risk. So we changed the business model. We know they are really good at addition and extension.
Yes.
Okay? Only takes 3 months, right? And the gross margin triple. You think about it. So we increased their revenue in a year by focus on target marketing. They are really quality builder, right? And get the work in, and then we get the team that incentivize to produce the efficiency. So talking about profit, we actually, turn it around, making 300,000 within a year, from 400 loss to 300,000 profit, with an improvement of only 25%. And at the moment, they're still my client. 15 million revenue, making 10% bottom line. Everybody's happy. They're happy. I'm happy. We've been
It's incredible. That's incredible.
If you can have a look at that, right? If you can think about it, right? This idea is simple. If you spend time upfront doing the thinking, the strategy and planning, and then get the right thing to implement that,
yes,
your result will be chalk and cheese, because as you focus, a lot of people just keep running, not sure, should I do this, should I do that? They're all the same anyway. It doesn't matter. Business is business. Who care, right? As long as the revenue is in. They're not very focused. So they spend a lot of time running around unsuccessfully to produce good result, because they're not sure which product and service they should focus on. Why?
Wow.
Because the gross margin is there. It can be competitive. Who are their target market? So when they do marketing through you, can be very focused. You're not talking to everybody, right? And they say, well, I don't want to know you, right? Because I don't have any demand in there.
Yeah.
And then you got to have a sales process to be able to convert. Guess what?
Absolutely.
Your operation got to be able to fulfill what you call value proposition. If you think, we are fast, we are good, and customer service is top class, you got to make sure that your operation
You're backing it up.
That's
Yeah.
right. And of course, the financial control, you got to have a look, okay, what was the result, what is working, what is not working, and take immediate action. Not 15 months when your accountant say shit. No, sorry.
You're allowed to swear on the show.
They say, oh, gee, but guess what? That's why your bank is, not in good shape because you lost, quite a bit of money. So the whole thing is simple. Start with the big picture. So to me, the roadmap or the strategy, what I call business roadmap, is the mother of any game plan. Once you have that, everything else, your marketing, your sales, your operation, your customer service,
Wow.
your financial, map into the biggest game plan on earth. All right. Now, okay, let's have a look at the human resources. We need people. So difficult to get people. I said, so what? If I can use 3 good people, you think you're going to make money? You think you're going to be flourishing? Because your market is terrible. The product you sell is not making money. So why you fix HR?
Wow. I think it's really important. All of us kind of start to think, okay, before just going with our business, we need to actually take a minute to build a proper roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how you said focus, because even I have things to focus on,
100%.
right? And I just thought that example of that builder, and our builders have suffered, I think, because they haven't been able to focus.
Can I share with you about focus, right?
Yes, please.
Interestingly, a lot of us are entrepreneurs. In other words, we always think about new thing and doing something different and then new. In a way, it's good, but the disadvantage is that because you got so many things in your head, you try to explore everything.
Hey, I'm thinking about this. No, Alvin, pull up the handbrake, mate. Let's get back and be focused, right? So I think that's really, really good. Eric, is there any final comments you want to share with anyone?
I always say, it's always a silver lining out there. Think big, get the right advisor, work with them. You'll be surprised what you can do.
I love it. Guys, total disclosure, as I've mentioned at the beginning, I am an advocate of business growth and exit specialist. You guys are good at what you do, and you're making some serious strides in the industry. So, Eric, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Alvin, for
We're
our
very
invitation.
grateful.
We are so happy to have you as one of our great clients. I appreciate your comments.
Love your work, Eric. Keep it up.
Thank you, Alvin.
Thanks, mate.
Likewise. All right, cheers.